I'm Belle Bear. This is Sacred Mechanics.
Thank you, Fanny. Welcome to Sacred Mechanics podcast. It's so fantastic you're here and you have so much wisdom and knowledge to share with me and anyone that's listening to this today. And I'm sure wherever I go in the conversation, you're going to be running ahead full of ideas. So I'm really looking forward to this. First of all, I just would like you to tell us what your background is, just as an artist and a practitioner and all that stuff in between.
All right. Well, of course, I'm in Quebec, Canada. So because you're on the other side there, that might be a point to specify. So of course, I started the arts since a kid. I did my Beaux-Arts coming out of high school. I went straight into that, no detour. The kind of studies that really set you up for life, art. But
That's
it
right.
was what I was passionate about, and at the same time being a bit of a rebel because I was also pretty punk. So, it was in the moment. Now, this is what I want to do, and I did it. The spiritual aspect has always been with me at the same time because I was always the witch of the gang. And this kind of attraction to the invisible, the attraction to the strings behind what we see, behind what is going on, really, it's always been a kind of a thirst to understand and find out. My art itself was always very allegoric and spiritual, and of course was frowned upon in the Beaux-Arts because I was back then it was conceptual art and it had nothing to do with what I was doing. So life brings you to a point where, of course, we go through things, we go through traumas, we go through challenges and things like that. And I was lucky and unlucky enough to have um my persona, or what I thought I was, stripped down to the bare essential. And so the bare essential was who I truly was, my true vibration. And I was lucky enough at that point because, I went through a burnout and things like that when I was 20. So uh, I met an amazing spiritual teacher that was Gilles Leroy, that was teaching energetical practices. So it wasn't called magic. It wasn't called meditation or things like that. It was energetical practice. So it was really a way to discover how energy functions within yourself, outside of yourself, making it move, owning it, mastering it, and therefore becoming more and more sovereign of who you are energetically. So accountable and sovereign. And this process, leads to one thing and another, and the thirst of spirituality, and of course the arts that never stop. But my I was lucky enough that my career was in arts also because I was doing frescoes and murals. And so also very in touch with spirituality because I ended up doing churches and synagogues and things like that, and mafia lord houses. They're all the same, but
I was going
anyway,
to say, it's a nice dovetail.
yeah.
Um, and it's kind of punk, and I feel like it still is and traditionally, or has been in our modern age of bringing spirituality and art together because you're
But art
bringing
is a
things to the
spiritual
forefront.
process. Yes, art is
Absolutely.
a spiritual process. It's a spiritual practice because what do you do but to bring out who you truly are, your real vibration. That's when it's good. If you remove all the strips of what you should do, what is acceptable, what is in, what is out, all the criticism or whatever, and you just strip it down to your sacral chakra to you, what you process of who you are in this world and spit it out. It's the same corridors that are being used as when you're casting a spell. It's the same thing. It's my
That's
vibration, my intention, my vision that I put out there.
it's beautiful because when you're creating art and you're sort of trying to get into a flow state to make something or do something, you're saying all that's left almost, which is exactly what you're saying, where you're getting back to your core with no embellishment. And there's some real truth telling then on the canvas or in whatever
Then
your
you're going
medium
to
is.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
it's
when you're going to
bold.
notice it. It's
Yeah.
not like the persona. It is the raw core. So that's when and that goes to a basic where other people can recognize themselves there, because we all come from the same space in a way. But yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible, because you bring so much energy to it, and I know I've viewed you at a distance as being someone quite prolific as well, like wide and deep with genre would show me your work as it would come through and follow you at a distance, and it's stunning. And anyone listening, please look up Fanny's work. I'll put all your information in your bio in the show notes and your socials so people can enjoy. It is
Yeah.
incredible.
I'm not very on the internet, so a lot of the stuff is very, like my latest work is not on there. That is something I
It
have to
doesn't
be
matter.
more.
Yeah,
I have to be
it's
more
beautiful.
more in tune with it.
Yeah, but you also, I just recently learnt you'd put a book together. You've published a book
Yeah, on
called Wisdom
tarot,
of the Tarot.
and it's tarot and the tree of life, the tree of Sephiroth. So it's that joint parallel of the two together.
Right. And obviously, you've written this book. It looks like quite a large book. And then you've included some of your artwork in the book as well.
Yeah, well, the cover, of course, the cover is one of my paintings. The thing is, as I was doing the book, I've noticed that in order to have an image of Capricorn, it's all, you have to buy the image and all of that. So I decided to draw a lot of, why not, you know?
Yeah. You're laughing like it's a big joke, but every single thing that comes out of you is like perfection.
No, no, that's not true. See, that's a
It's gonna
delusion.
be lovely.
It's
Okay, well,
just
we'll
that
see.
I accept it. So
Yes.
I accept the flaw and I own it. So it seems to be perfect, but it's not.
Mm, in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but there's a trust you're showing us as well, where you need Capricorn, so you pull in that energy, what you think Capricorn looks like, and express it visually for all of us to enjoy. So that is magic. You're manifesting things
It's
onto
that
the
same
page.
channel. You see what I
Yeah,
mean? It's same
yeah.
channel. It like in magic, you can ask a certain archetype to help you through something. It's the same process. You're receptive to it, you're embodying it, and then you can act with it while you need it. So,
Do you find that you draw upon techniques like that frequently when doing new work and beginning new work of who will accompany you in the journey of that piece? Or do you let things come through?
the
What's your process?
when it's my own creations, like, this is the kind of thing that I've discovered when I was asked to do, as in my work, when I was asked to do reproductions, like you're doing a Degas and you have to, feel Degas and the colors of Degas and all of that. And you're in it so much. And then at one point, you arrive in those magical moments where you swipe off the bottom of your plate and it arrives to that perfect gray, blue, greenish color you could name. And he said, I just did the same thing he did. He probably scraped the bottom of his palette also. And you almost feel like he's there watching over, and then you just, all right, I'll just follow the move. And you catch the wrist twist, and you catch and then you're living as the guy for the hour that you're doing is, reproduction. So, but at the same time, like if I need to cut a tree with my chainsaw and I hate using the chainsaw, I will call upon the woodsman that I know. And I'm like, all right. And then all of a sudden, I open myself to the joy of the gas and the sound and the calmness in it, and just the pleasure of being in the woods and using my chainsaw for my firewood. And the fear disappears because I connect to that archetype. But when it comes to my own creation, then it is just me and my higher self.
Wow. Okay. Yes. So there's a few things here.
Yeah,
No
there's
mistake.
magic practice and, and creation.
And there's no mistake that you were able to channel or be a medium for the art you're being asked to reproduce, or the style of art even that you're doing, and you're tapping back into history sometimes with the fresco
Mm,
work and that sort of thing, or you're
yeah,
working in historical spaces and you're pulling that energy through and expressing it through the art for permanency in our time to revisit it. And not just anyone can do that, either creatively with the skill set that you have, but also spiritually and energetically. There's no way. It's such a rare combination. And then I totally get that, where you need to be shown how to do something that's unusual or you're not enjoying it, and you just ask. It's a bit like, I was thinking about this the other day on The Matrix when I've lost her name, but she needs to learn how to fly the helicopter at the end, and
yeah,
she asked to
that's
be
it. And she
downloaded
calls the
software. I do that.
program. Yeah, Trinity.
She's like, show me how to fly a da da da. I totally do this sometimes and see if I can tap into something so I can complete my task that I'm doing.
And it's possible, whether you're connecting to the, call it Akashic records, call it whatever it is, but everything is there at the same time in the one moment, so you can tap into that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've heard it being called the field, and I like this idea. I'm trying to learn more about this at the moment, actually, of the idea of the brain being an antenna and the body is like soft technology, and that we're pulling in and drawing down data to use as we need, and it's all
Yeah.
available. And
Yeah.
I guess the more attuned our antenna is, the more we see, the more we receive, the more we hear.
I see it like a radio, because the thing is that it's really like your vibration that will dictate where you're tuning. So if your vibration is low, and your vibration will be dictated by your waters, what is imprinted in your waters, so whatever you're feeling dictates the level of vibration, and then your intention can rise up your frequency, so then you can connect to whatever your state of vibration is. So that's
Sure.
why when I talk about tarot, before reading tarot, you never read tarot if you're feeling scared, down, depressed, or anything like that, because that's where you're tuning in.
Yes, so for people listening, that are at any stage of their practice, these waters feelings, or where we're
Hmm.
tuning in, are changeable.
Yeah.
No matter how dark, I guess we can shift them either fast or slow, or ask for
Yeah.
help, as we've been discussing, to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
cool.
your present, your conscious waters, and your unconscious waters, because the unconscious waters work behind your back. So you can work on your conscious waters, and then at one point, when you're master of who you are, the more your I am is strong, the more your I am can face the generational waters that can, the collective unconscious or whatever, and see what's there with compassion, understanding, and rising above it all the time. Compassion is the key word to turn waters into clear. That's obvious. But after doing that for years and years and years, then at one point you're fine with your shadow, and you're not afraid to lose yourself in your darkness or in your light, and that is
Yeah.
important also.
So while we're just touching on compassion, um, do you think that gratitude, which is a word used very heavily at the moment, is more an acceptance of the moment and trying to absorb the reality and the moment as all being there for a purpose? So,
Yeah, and gratitude also puts you right away. You cannot be in a state of gratitude if you're in victimhood. They are incompatible. So when we ask somebody to be in a state of gratitude, it has to automatically put all of his sensors to what it feels is a gift in their life in the moment of here and now. So whether it is the ray of sun, the birds singing, the fact that they can drink water, whatever it is, it puts your receptors upright. And because your receptors, it's very mechanical. Because your receptors are upright, you have access to these kinds of vibration that will give you a little insight, that will influence your perception, that will influence your choices, and slowly, like the wheel turns, your reality.
right. You can hear me ticking away here. I'm learning so much from you. Okay, now this is for the artists. Let's talk about the vibration and energy in physical objects like your art materials, your tools, mediums that you're working on and with. How does that affect you?
Well, personally, I have a love of the tools. I love getting dirty. I love uh, paintbrushes. I love, the texture of things, and the mess of it, the smell of it, and all of that. And that is so that you can enjoy it. Okay, that is part of the importance. And the rest is a bit like a gris-gris. You see, like you have your favorite paintbrush that it kind of molded to your hands, and it's used up in the perfect way, and so on, so that it can be forgotten, so that it's not there between you and your art. It's so part of you that it can be forgotten. It becomes an extension of you. So I think that the more you put your energy in your tools, they can become an extension of you, and they are not this thing between you and what you want to create.
Right. More of a conduit. The paintbrush is a
Yes.
magic wand almost. Or as you, it's literally your energy. And just circling back to our waters and our way, what happens to our tools if we've sort of charged them to be positive and artistic and all of that, and we're feeling terrible and we're going to paint it out? Do you think it works that we channel this and sort of expel things, or does it just realign things? What's your perspective?
Okay, to use your art as a process to evacuate, I would not use the same tools as the ones where I am expressing my vibration. I am understanding myself in it. I am looking at something. You see what I mean? If it's not to purify, if I want to create something to purify and pull out something from my shadow and see it in front of me, I would not use the same tools. Like I wouldn't use the same magic wand to cast energetic things, or to, bring out somebody's shadow. I wouldn't use the same conduit
Right. So
for
there's a
that.
purity we try and maintain in our
Yeah.
tools and our intentions,
It's the same
different
principle
toolkit.
also when they say, never work in the bedroom, because then you bring this type of dynamic in that room, and you
Yeah.
cannot use it then for rest and peace. and love. You see what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So just energetically, I would separate the two. And you can even have like a special medium, like use the charcoal to exercise,
Mm,
yourself or whatever. And then you're like, when I take the charcoal, this is what is going to be called out from me right away. It's
right.
going to
And
be my,
it's so
retching gut in there. And
satisfyingly dark.
yes,
Yeah.
satisfying, like, it's going to be that kind of thing. So it's not the same thing. I'm not like in the tarot, the magician card, where I'm not taking from above to bring below. I'm taking from my shadow to bring out. They're two completely different. They're both creative, but they're two completely different mechanics.
This is such great information because it's so hard to find and learn about these sorts of
Mm.
things these days. We're so disconnected. We don't sip tea and chat about this sort of thing as artists
No,
even.
the artist cafe is where they would hang out and drink and talk about art are missing these days, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, this is our artist cafe this morning.
Yes.
Um, yeah, well, I wanted to talk to you about ritual, and we certainly got that. That's awesome. Just to finish that subject, then with the selection, say, like, personally, if I've got a heap of different canvases blank in the closet, I sort of wait to hear which one wants to be used. Is that normal? It's
Oh
like they all
yeah.
have their own personality.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but that's just the principle of listening to your gut, to what you're receiving from them, and everything. Me, I analyze everything as a communion. You're communing with your canvas. Like if you're sculpting, you're communing with the piece of wood, and then it's a co-creativity where what I have inside or what I bring from above in conversation with the log, and there it's gonna give a third entity, which will be the piece of art at the end. So the same way you commune when you drink your coffee, you take the information of the coffee and you commune with it. Everything is a communion. So creativity is a process of execution and communion. So when you're waiting to see which one talks to you more, it's the same thing. Like you look at your colors and you're like, I feel like, deep orange now. So this is the one that's talking to me. This is the one I'm going to commune with.
Yeah. So the process, in fact, you could view it as you've just explained. It's not just the art, but it's how we live as artists or as humans and doing whatever we're doing. That if we can view things more as ritual and that there is an impact in every small action, we may be much happier and more centered and living in the
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
It's a key.
Because then we can also infuse it with love.
Yeah.
When you commune, when you're in, like, if I go back to gratitude, in gratitude, we need to open ourselves to love. So in creativity, if you open yourself to the love of the tool, love of the moment, love of the connection, the communion, then it's a completely different process, but it's something that can inhabit you. You don't have to be like an artist. You can do it like when you're cooking or when whatever you're doing, because everything you're doing is you're creating all the time because you're creating a reality.
And that's a beautiful life. Mm. So the relationship between consciousness and reality is one thing, and we'll just get that straight right now then, that this is what you've brought to the table today. And for people listening, I'm just really conscious when I have conversations with artists and people like yourself with so much knowledge that I just pull those questions out that no one gets to ask or talk about. And it's really these little day-to-day things sometimes where you can practice them yourself and begin
Yeah.
your own way of being from
Mm.
scratch if you're looking
Yeah.
for a fresh start or to refine your daily experience here on earth. It's
Well, that's it. To just
yeah.
embrace it and embrace the little moments there. And it's like putting sacredness in everything, sacred mechanics. There you go. When you make your coffee, you can make it sacred. It's all depends of where you're standing and your state of being.
Yeah. Tell me about travels that you've embarked upon for your work as an artist. Is there any special place that has resonated with you as the most powerful energy and that you really loved or was really challenging or something that stands out?
Oh, loved or challenging. Well, I did travel for work. I was lucky enough to, work in the States or in Europe. I did go to work in Jerusalem. That was a challenging, interesting project where I did a synagogue there. And of course, I was the odd one there because being in charge of the decorative art, being a woman, being not Jewish, working with all the workers were, of course, Palestinians, but they weren't used to have a woman telling them, no, that's not the good color, do this, there, and that, and so on. So that was a beautiful example of course, when I arrived, it was like a shocking for them situation. But after not even a week, they would call me White Heart, and I did not change. I was just in my divine feminine of none. I wasn't confrontational. I was just like doing me, and at the end, we were all eating together and the work went super well. I've met amazing people and it was a great experience. And every time I had to go back to continue the work, uh, very welcomed and all of that, which at first sight was more like, oh, this is going to be a challenge. I have to confront people, that are not used to this, that don't even understand what I do for work, because in the, decorative arts and things like that, that is not of either religion.
Yeah.
Wild speaks loud, laughs, jokes around,
Yeah.
and then it passes. So that there's the thing where you're like, okay, if I stay in my authenticity, uh, at one point, it's gonna be seen, and that's it, in a fearless way. I did not
Yeah.
hide, and I did not, you know, whatever.
And it sounds like it would have been very cleansing on some level for the other men
It
too.
was a new experience because they saw a completely different kind of woman, which at first they thought I came from Babylon, not, because of who I am. So I think it gave them another vision of what woman can be, of what the other can be, and that the other does not have to be enemy there.
And Fanny, do you work one on one with clients these days for your tarot and or energy healing, or do you tend to
Yeah.
use your practice yourself?
It's I do of course I do readings with because on YouTube and I have on the website. So I'll do readings every day, one on one on people, and sometimes energetic practices, or to help if they ever come all the way into the woods where I am. But yeah, I'm lucky to be able to have this time where I have to be present. I have to be connected. I have to be in that flow and open myself to insights and things like that, because sometimes life just, gets along, and you do your thing, and weeks pass and so on. So, and I'm a bit of an extremist because I used to have like a period where I was very intensely meditating and practicing, energetically and all of that, receiving the beautiful connections and moments of grace and downloads, and then other periods, especially when I became a mother, where then I had to be grounded and be providing and being, so you kind of disconnect yourself from that part of you. So I think as you get older, you can get more of a balance, and that's the beauty of getting older.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know I'd read that you'd spent some time trying to live more in solitude, and this
I was an
sounds like
hermit for many
heaven.
years.
What was that like?
It was amazing. I mean, it was amazing, but it it lasted the time it needed to last. It was about 6 or 7 years I lived alone in the woods. And when I would work, it was because somebody would call and have like they wanted a painting or something like that. And so there I had a lot of you're with yourself. There's no hiding, there's no running away. You're with yourself in the woods and you're meditating. And of course, there are beautiful moments of, like I was saying, downloads and things like that. And then at one point, I almost felt like what I was doing, I was, since you're alone with it and you have access to all sorts of things, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be there when I die anyway. I'm more in the invisible than the visible. I'm not participating in life per se. So it was almost like a moment of, maybe it was, I think it was because it was divine timing, but it was like, Fanny, you have to connect with people. Like, so I went to see my sister, and I got out of the woods. I'm still there today, but I mean,
Yeah.
with interaction now, but I had to consciously decide to no, because if not, what's the use of everything I'm doing? Because I'm gonna, go with it in my grave in a way.
Then you can hermit all you like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
I
But
understand.
so those insights and those lessons, I have guides that give me a lot of lessons, and yeah, you cannot be in your ego or frustrated.
Okay, so for artists that are at a stage where they're really interested in their own spirituality, but maybe haven't explored very long and they have been doing their art practice probably all their life, do you have any advice for them to start opening up to merging them or feeling like they are aligning the spiritual and the art together? How would you tell or teach someone to do that?
Well, it kind of happens a bit before and while you're painting. Like I was saying, it's all from the where you're standing when you're creating. A spiritual path is more like noticing that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So right away, if you're in that state of mind, yeah, there I am in a matrix or whatever is this beautiful three-dimensional world in a bubble of time space. And I'm just experimenting it and then mixing it with who I am. Discovering who you are is a spiritual path. What's my vibration? Is this my education? Is this my the collateral damage of my the unconsciousness of my parents, or is this me? Is this, what I want or what I am afraid of or what I was told that I want? Is this what I like or what I'm supposed to like? All of these questions are part of your spiritual path. And as you're creating, it's to bring them back to the essential when you know the answer. Yes, and then owning who you are, backing up who you are. Like this sometimes is a long time. Like I was saying, I paint in allegories, and like I was saying, this was badly viewed. And I used to really force myself to do what was supposed to be done. If not, I was not an artist. Until one point, you're like, you know what? If you, no, this is who I am. And therefore, I have to own who I am. So when you look at what you do, is it me or is it what I wish I would paint? These
Yeah.
are two different things. And the spiritual path is just being, as you're doing this, having the compassion for you and the authenticity and the alignment to actually know who you are. So there you go. You don't have to like light candles and burn incense as you're painting. You just have to be there. and be receptive to whatever's going to correspond with me, is going to be the inspiration coming within me. And that's it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it's highly likely then that a lot of artists are practicing like this and not understanding that they're already doing it.
Yeah. So am I painting from my shadow? Am I painting from my light? Am I painting from my conscious or my unconscious? Or from the persona of the ego or from the soul? These are all like questions that, to learn who you are.
Yeah. I just want to talk briefly about astrology with you. I'm wondering if you pay attention to what's coming up astrologically, or do you look at it in hindsight and go, "Oh, of course that happened. Look at the sky." I really, really want to know,
Yeah.
as a master of this sort of thing, how you approach and fold this into your life, or it sort of follows you.
Well, I'm a fan of evolutive astrology, like with Wolf Green. That's kind of another way of looking at things. And I really agree with this vision of it. For me, astrology is more like if I'm a boat on the sea. Astrology is the winds, the currents, the this and the that, and so on. But I still have sails that I can learn to manage. If I know that I have a Saturn in the 12th house, that means that wind's going to be north like hell. So I'm going to learn to maneuver it and own that wind. I am still mastering it. It's not, I disagree when people put it like a sentence or a curse almost. Okay. That's still again, part of knowing what is influential in you. And so when I use astrology in two ways, when I see, oh, all right, now, Mars is not retrograde anymore. So there's a possibility my energy is going to come back since now it just arrived in that soul house. And so I'm going to be more conscious and more attentive to that energy in that area of my life. I might use it like one would use the winds and the currents. And the other way I will use, let's say, the sky will be by following the moons and the new moons. And of course, also, the equinox and like we had Beltane not so long ago and so on, because energetically, these are where telling us the movements that are happening. The moons works on the waters within us, and in which moon is it? Oh, Scorpio moon on the 12th that we're going to have soon. I know it's going to bring up all sorts of ugly things from, buried way, profound. And so I'm going to be standing at this, at top of the staircase and say, come on in, come and sit on mama and we'll talk. And,
Yeah.
and so it's not gonna happen to me. I'm gonna be able to be prepared, knowing it, be prepared, use it, and embrace it. There you go.
Mm,
And it's the same thing with tarot. It's never a sentence. It's just like, oh, it's a conversation. They're telling me this looks like that now, but you're always a master of it. Always a master.
that's a great perspective. And that's very empowering, actually,
Yeah.
for you
And
to say this, Fanny. We all have maybe equal power if we put our focus and our sails in a certain way and learn how to sail.
yeah. And it allows you to see where you stand. Because let's say, oh, Venus is passing in my second house. Will I meet somebody or whatever? Okay. So, or my seventh house, I would say. When Venus passes, it's not that she's sprinkling love, like the tooth fairy there. She's a vibration. She's a principality of unconditional love and worth and abundance. How much can I absorb her? Or do I reject her because she wasn't there 2 years ago? Or do I have a grudge against her? Or in French we'll say mal aimé, badly loved. Nobody loves me. If that's my belief, she's gonna pass on me like water on the duck. Or can I absorb her? Can I embody her? Then I'm gonna be able to channel her energy and see it in my matrix, see it in my reality.
Right. So you're manifesting again and pulling that through. So to achieve that, do you accept to be open and be noticing signs and rhythms around you, or are you purposefully meditating on that that's what you're going to do?
It's a bit of both. You keep an eye out, like sensors, like your antennas. You keep your eye, but your boundaries have to be, your core has to be very grounded in who you are, because you don't want to be influenced by it, like a leaf in the wind or things like that. So, yes, you have the power to intentionally, go walk in a stream of water, and then put the intention of, as that water is passing, I am letting go of my shit, whatever. You're using it. You chose to walk there. You're using the natural energetic movement. So you do the same thing with everything around you.
This makes life very exciting, doesn't it? Just this little bit
Yes,
of
it is.
knowledge. It's a wonderful way to live. Each day is a whole chapter. I like this. And then on top of that, knowing that everything in our physical reality holds an energy and you're able to channel through that, and it makes life a wonderful art practice in many ways, doesn't it? Where you
Yes.
treat your whole experience as an art form.
It's like you're weaving,
Yeah.
and with you're choosing the colors and the vibrations and the this and the that, the intention and so on. And so, and this comes, the more you empower yourself, the more you can do that, because it's not things happening to you anymore. It's more like you're looking at it like, whoa, I cast it really badly because this is hell, you know? And so what was wrong in the recipe? What did I not see? What did I accept that I shouldn't have accept? Where did I not speak? Where did I all of this? Or did I speak but badly to myself? What did I swallow? What did not digest? What did not understand? Then you're speaking to yourself like a responsible person. Fanny, how did you manifest that shit, that trauma, that thing? Not talking when you're a child, because when you're a child, yes, things happen to you. But the moment you're not a child anymore, that's when you start looking at things like that. And so right away, it allows you a certain distance from the events, because you're looking at it, like with your hand on your chin, and the alchemist in his office where the thing exploded in his face, and you're like, whoa, what happened there? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is when everything is a casting, everything is an alchemical process, everything is creative, everything is a communion. You see?
Yeah, I see. See, it makes it exciting to be alive. This has been amazing, Fanny, and I will not take up too much more of your time, but is there anything that's front of mind for you today to share?
Well, the thing maybe, that we have to remember is that anybody that's listening to this, whatever stage people are, and that's one thing that I like to undo, is the idea of levels. The idea of, I'm a beginner on my spiritual path, and oh, I've been there for like 50 years, whatever. There's no more or less or anything like that. This is one of the distortions of the spiritual world, because where you come from, your roots, the chemistry of you is unique. What you've went through is unique. If I would have went through your life, where would I be? I don't know. You see what I mean? And vice versa. So we can never, sometimes people will say, oh, well, they're still stumbling and these ones are walking or whatever. But no, everybody's so different that what they are at that point is perfect. There's no more, there's no less. You don't have to catch up or anything like that. And you can only grasp with your consciousness when you're ready for it. From where you are, from your specific, unique pers- perspective. Do you see what I mean? So, yeah,
Yes.
this is something that often people will shy from going deeper into their spiritual path, or even in arts, because they're afraid of this kind of, and it's very patriarchal, okay, that kind of leveling merit society. I'm going to judge you where you are and give you a number there. And no, these things should not be seen on that level. It should be acknowledged that everybody comes from a different place. Therefore, they cannot be ranked.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty liberating when you think of it like that. Absolutely. Um, if I can't be ranked anymore and we're all on the same level with the access to the same tools, how do we get here with all these strats of being allowed to do things or feeling
Exactly.
permission based?
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's the leftovers of patriarcha, especially for women, giving permission to. Giving permission to.
Yeah.
That's something that's in the education, that you have to strip yourself from. Now I want to try it. I'm going to try it. If I want to try pottery tomorrow, even if it's my first bowl, I'm going to try it. And it might be judged bad, good, whatever. That's not important. My background and who I am and whatever I was able to grasp with the wheel and so on, that bowl is going to be perfect for what it is at that point. And that's it.
Yeah. Right. That's really great, Fanny. Practicing art and all this stuff for more than 3 decades, like professionally or commercially. And I still must admit, I find I'm looking for approval or permission in my lowest points. And that's a bit sad, isn't it? If I can just take that next leap to let it go
Yeah.
somehow. Yeah.
Because you're the only one that has power to give you permission, especially on creativity, because the acknowledgement has to come from you also. Then the outside world is they agree or they don't agree. And if they don't agree, well, too bad for you. It's not just for you. That's it. A lot of people will look at my art and say, well, that's not so great. All right, good for you. It's not from what they appreciate. But that doesn't make my art lesser because they cannot appreciate it.
Yeah, which you're explaining there too, that goes across the board for spirituality and levels as well. It's
Exactly.
all one experience.
It's all one experience. The vision you have, the perspective you have from your background, where you are, what you've worked, the insights you have, they're all different. All different. You cannot compare a potato and an orange. No, but they're all part of the garden.
Yeah, and very rich for each of us to acknowledge how rich we are in our individual
Yeah, that's
story.
it. And yes, you can feed from the informations of or the discoveries of the other and this one, and all you can feed from it because it's gonna say yes inside. Yeah, that's my soul tells me yes. This vibrates. This I agree. Then there you go. It's been shared, and that's all that's important.
I think that's a perfect thought to leave everyone with, Fanny. Thank you
I
so much. I just loved this. I could talk for 3 hours, but I'm so happy we got to talk. It's beautiful.
Me
And I
too.
learned heaps. It's like a personal masterclass. So, wow, so good.
That was such an awesome chat with Fanny Beaudoin from Quebec in Canada. You can find out much more about her in the show notes. I've put all her links and also a link to her book, Wisdom of Tarot. Also, if you want to join my community, the Sacred Mechanics community, we can chat about any of the topics that are raised on the Sacred Mechanics podcast. or share our own practices and ideas, or just meet other like-minded souls. Thanks for listening. I'm Belle Bear, and this is Sacred Mechanics.